You're all set to begin.
Thank you very much. All right, I'll call the July 21st, 2025 meeting of the Community Preservation Committee to order. And I'll read the recording announcement. This meeting of the Community Preservation Committee is being recorded and broadcast on the Town of Barnstable's Government Access Channel. In accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20, the chair must inquire whether anyone else is recording this meeting, and to me, please make their presence known. Seeing none. Helen, will you call the roll?
Plumley.
Present.
Deb Converse.
Here.
Terry Duenas. Catherine Garofoli.
Had you milk?
Cat's here.
Farley
She's here.
Lewis.
Here.
Steve Robichaud. Terry.
I don't see Terry yet.
Okay, and Lindsay.
Here. Thank you. Okay, the first item on the agenda is approval of the draft Community Preservation Committee regular meeting minutes from June 2nd, 2025. Any additions, changes? Motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion on the approval of the draft meeting minutes from June 2nd?
Nope.
No additional comments? Terry, we've just joined us. Any comments on the minutes?
No, it's all set.
He's good. All right, Ellen, will you call the roll?
Oh.
Can't hear you. You're still on mute. There you are.
I'm sorry. I had a dog barking in the background. Tom Lee.
Aye.
Deb Converse.
Yeah, here.
Terry Duenas.
Yes.
Catherine Garofoli.
Yes.
Farley Lewis.
Yes.
Steve Robichaud. And Lindsay Council.
Yes. Thank you very much. Next item is letters of intent, which we received no new ones today for this meeting. So we have, the next item is applications. An application from the Town of Barnstable DPW requesting $406,282 in community preservation, open space, and recreation funds to revitalize and improve Cotuit Memorial Park, located at 889 Main Street, Cotuit, map 035, parcel 051. The total estimated cost is $520,434, with $114,152 in capital improvement funding to be provided. The Civic Association has requested the rejuvenation of this park that is a focal point for the village, connecting the library, waterfront, playground, and post office. All right. Mark M., I saw him here somewhere. There he is.
Mayor. Just for a minute, Lindsay and Alan, Steve just joined us while you're reading.
All right. Thank you, Steve. Welcome.
Yes, thank you. So, sorry for the delay.
No problem. All right, Mark, it's all yours.
Okay, thank you. I know Richard Van Troen presented this last time. I was not available. I know there were some questions by the committee about some of the projects, so I'm trying to answer some of those tonight. And I know this was continued. So, Sarah, thanks. You could run that presentation. So I'm going to start with, this is a graphic, a flow chart on how we do manage projects in the office. And I just wanted to share with you a little bit about this. The box there on the left, upper left, is the project concept. So what happens is every year we find out needs from various departments, from the public, from civic associations. There are old needs that weren't funded, they get processed. There were previous capital improvement plans that get revised. There were studies that were done throughout the year, and they contribute to projects. And there are also grant opportunities that come in that generate projects. And those projects all get put together as a capital improvement request, and then they get submitted every single year as part of the funding cycle. And so that second box, you see funding cycle, and during that process, there's presentations, there's a grading system. The municipal departments grade, certain other groups outside of the town grade these, and then there's kind of a consensus as to which projects are priorities, which aren't. Part of that is discussions on funding, what can be funded by different processes, grants, federal grants, state grants, community preservation funds, general funds, things like the Kirkman Fund. And then the town council reviews those, and out of the town manager's office comes a recommendation of certain projects that get voted on and approved or not approved by the town council. And if those projects are over $100,000, which is that third block there, yes, we go through a designer selection process to pick a designer, and then the project will go through a design management and budgeting process. If not, we determine that it's under $100,000, whether that project can be done in-house by municipal employees or not. If it can, we obtain staff and department commitments, and we move forward with the project. If not, then we acquire A&E services to do that. On the right, you'll see from that point, the project goes to bid document development and through procurement, and then hopefully we have a successful bid. If we don't, we take a look at the project and say, can we redesign it to bring within budget? Yes or no. If no, we look for other funds. If no other funds are available, the project kind of dies until the next funding cycle. If the bid is successful, then we move forward with project management to develop the project. All that to say is that this project was one of the projects that the town council moved forward through the capital improvement plan to say that there was other funding available, and hence we brought this forward to you for funding. Sarah, if you go to the next slide. So every year the town puts out a capital budget. Anywhere from page 43 to 45, there is this chart, which is additional project recommendations. So these are projects that aren't directly funded through the general fund or some other identified fund and are graded to be brought forward for other funding. And some of these are capital improvement eligible projects that we bring before you. And you see how every single year it changes. In 23, there was a certain list. We worked on some of those. The Katuah Memorial Park was on that list then. In 24, the list changed. 25, the list changed. So there's some projects that stay the same. They move up and down, they move around. And then it's my job to kind of sort through all of that and say, here's what the grading has been, and these are what the priorities are based on the annual budget. And I bring those forward to the various departments. Next slide, please. So all that to kind of say, last meeting, there was a question about what other projects are going to be brought forward. And that little top left chart right there are the projects that are currently been included in 23, 24, 25, and 26, basically in their order of grading of projects that are eligible for community preservation funds that we plan to bring forward sequentially. So you're reviewing the Katuah Memorial Park right now. The Centerville Recreational Field was a very high priority in 25 and 26. That'll be brought forward next. There's a comfort station in Osterville that may be fundable through community preservation funds. The John F. Kennedy Memorial Restoration is a project that's on the list. The town recreational field improvements, which is Bay Lane, is on the list. And the Centerville Recreation Building exterior restoration, as well as the Marcus Mills Playground. So that's what I currently have through the capital improvement plan for requests that have been approved by town council to be brought forward through other funding methods. there any questions on that so far?
I had one, Mark.
Okay, Steve.
We've given you some money for some of these and not all of them and all. Do you have a breakdown of that you could provide to us?
I do have a breakdown of those. I don't have it on this presentation, but I can give you a breakdown. I'd have to go through my project list. Right now, we're managing about 57 projects through for the town, and so I don't have necessarily every single one on the tip of my tongue. I'd have to go back to my information and break that out for you.
All right, if we could get squared away on that, that would help us understand where we are in your list here. And as these 3 years of capital improvement plan.
So you're looking for funding that's already been approved?
Yeah, we've been back to like the Centerville Recreation Building 3 times to, you know, in different.
There was the playground funding that was combined with general fund money that became the project for the parking lot and for the playground, and that we have a contract that's signed with that. The contractor is mobilizing the end of this week or beginning of next week over at Centerville, and the playground equipment is coming at the end of the month. So that's in process right now. The other project was JFK Museum. The Zion Museum, we have done preliminary designs with that. Dave Anthony has been renegotiating their lease with them, and we're waiting for that to occur to move forward with finishing the design for that project. There may be some other ones. If you go to the next slide.
Lindsay, do you mind if I ask a couple questions on the prior slide?
Go ahead. Sure, go ahead.
That's Harry.
Might as well stick with it here.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, first of all, Mark, this is phenomenal. I'm a visual person, and this is very helpful to see it laid out, especially over the 3 fiscal years. You know, I think I think your office and Ellen should have monthly correspondence to have this updated, and let's make this a regular part of our packet just because it's such a big part of what we're doing every time we meet. Can you explain what Chapter 90 is and what general fund is and what Kirkman is? What's the difference between those columns?
Chapter 90 has to do with roads and certain permittable items. Generally, engineering work handles those projects. I don't really get involved in Chapter 90 projects at all, except for the few times we've been involved with boat ramps. Kirkman is a fund out in Marston's Mills for the cemetery, and they fund some cemetery projects such as the columbarium a number of years ago. So there is a columbarium project that we are working on currently that we will be requesting funding from them for Mosswood Cemetery. General fund is money that comes out of the general fund. Mark Mill works magic that I don't really understand, but there's funding available through the town. So many millions of dollars a year for improvements and repairs and maintenance for the project. Some of those funds go into, like I know Structures and Grounds has a ongoing general fund where they do basic maintenance to certain buildings and repairs. Projects that rise above the level of $50,000 really can't be handled through that process. So we put together a capital improvement request that goes through town council and the grading process to do larger projects. And those are generally the ones that my office handles.
Okay, understood. Yeah, and the other question in my mind really isn't a question for you. I think it's a question for Mark. It's just, you know, I mean, you can just see clearly in these graphics that CPC is doing the heavy lifting, the lion's share of the funding. And I just wish there was a little bit more balance in that capital improvement plan. And again, I know that's not your department, but I've got to find someone to complain to about that, and I've got to levy my complaint. So
just realize that these aren't all the capital improvement plans. These are only the plans that are applicable for funding through other sources. Okay. So like if there wasn't historic preservation aspect to a project, we wouldn't be bringing it to the committee asking for historic preservation funds, right? So there are projects where that alternate funding is not applicable to. And so that just goes through the general fund. So there are a lot of other projects other than these. These are only
Right.
been identified as specific projects where a portion of them can be funded through other means other than the general fund.
Okay. All right. That's very helpful. I
So
appreciate that.
for
Yeah.
those, as part of the budgeting process to create the capital improvement plan, I look at what, I have my budgets and I break out what can be funded by CPC and what cannot. So for example, the playground in Centerville, the playground equipment, the handicapped access, the play surface, all that was fundable through CPC, but there was a general fund aspect where CPC funds weren't applicable for the paving of the parking lot, the retaining walls, those types of objects, the underground drainage. And so those get broken up, and that's why you see on some of these in the later years, they started saying there's a general fund aspect and there's a CPC aspect and there's a Kirkman aspect to it. That's how those numbers get broken up. So for budgeting purposes, I show everything that I think is applicable to these other funding sources, and then the town council and the town manager will sort through those and actually, through the approval process, determine what those are. For example, there's a project here for the Cape Cod Airfield hangar, which this year is 100 years old and could be applied for CPC funds, but the town council decided to fund that through general fund straight rather than having become the CPC for funding. So there's situations like, so this is just a small portion of the numerous projects that our needs that the town has. These are only the ones that have been identified as being able to be funded through other sources because they're applicable to those sources.
Great. Well, thank you for that. That's very helpful knowing that, I'm not necessarily looking at the whole picture. So that's excellent. And can you just, last question, can you just explain the priority tab? Is that your internal DPW priority? Is that a town council priority? What is that?
So the priority tab, that's part of a grading system. So when we put together capital improvement plans that come from multiple sources and submit them through the town manager, there's a whole grading process. Department heads take a look at every single capital improvement and grade them. Things like CFAC, groups like CFAC, will take a look at all the capital improvement plan and they will grade them. All the different departments in town will take a look at those and grade them. And through that grading process, there becomes a consensus of what projects rise to the top and which ones are the most important. There's probably also things such as, a town councilor for a particular district, thinks that their project's important. And so there's all those discussions that bring about the projects that are lower or highly numbered. So I've basically taken these, so each one, like FY24, FY25, and FY26, these are the grades and the priorities that the town manager and the town council have said these projects are, right? And they shift. So you'll see one year, the Centerville Recreation Multipurpose Field is number 1. The next time it's number 1, and the third time it's number 1. So that basically says to me that's like an important project to bring forward. In previous years, other ones were number 1s or number 2s or whatever. So these numbers represent the numbers that come out of the grading system, the priority for those projects. So I just put them in order as best I can tell, because sometimes there's multiple, sometimes one goes from a 1 to a 2 or a 2 to a 1, and put those together on the list to bring forward.
Great. Well,
Am I making myself clear to that?
Yeah. No, that was phenomenal. And Lindsay, with your blessing, I'd love to see, again, this great graphic here shared kind of, with our packet, if possible.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to go to the next slide, there's a little more to that, because just because a project makes that list on page 43 or 45 doesn't mean that that's all the projects that could be funded through CPC or some other means. So this is a list. This is from 2024, so it's a little bit out of date. But these are all the projects that are in the capital improvement requests that have an aspect to them that could be funded through community preservation fundings or some other means, right? So there's other projects that have not risen to the top or risen to importance at this point that have been submitted that could be applied for through CPC funds that aren't on the list. And so, I get my marching orders from the town manager through the town council. So that's kind of what the process that I go through to bring forward. But there are other projects that have been submitted that have not yet been issued as real projects yet. I wanted to make you aware of that aspect as well.
All right, thank you, Mark. So, Steve, in answer to your question, I don't know that we can promise to have this every month. I don't know if Mark Marinaccio is ready to make that promise. But we'll do the best we can to bring these in a manageable fashion to our financial reporting.
What I will do, Lindsay, is I'll update my project list. I will break out the projects and the statuses that have CPC funding aspects to you and let you know where those projects are in process.
Thank you very much.
Lindsay,
I believe Deb Converse had a question. Go ahead, Deb.
I just want to reiterate what Steve said, because I thought the airfield, that building, the Veridated Steel one, we had seen a project for application. And so I thought, oh, I've got to add that into my thinking of what's going for recreation or whatever it is. And so it would be helpful to know before tonight that that's not going to be an application to us after all. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like I think we have X number of dollars and suddenly we've got a lot of projects.
Yeah, I'm not privy to how much money you have in your account or how much money you get every year. So that's something Mark Mill would have to address. Sarah, could you go to the previous slide? So as of this fiscal year that started on July 1st, that list there is the list of projects that I have been approved to bring forward to you for funding. Whether or not you approve them or you deem them to be appropriate, that's going to be part of the presentation and part of what you do. But those are the ones right there. So there's about $6 million in projects there. So you can see what's coming up. This will be the order we bring them to you in, so you can see what's there. And I can discuss each one of those a little bit if you want some background on them. But that's up to you at this point.
Probably not tonight, right? But it does show the importance of saying things are off the table, like the airfield, or if it is, in fact.
Okay.
That's all.
So, sir, if you want to move two slides. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
All right, go ahead.
Sarah, you want to move 2 slides forward? Okay, so this is the same presentation you saw last time. Basically, we're looking for $520,434 to do this project. $407,000 is applicable for CPC funding. The other $114,000 will come from capital funds. The Cotuit Park is a focal point of Cotuit. It connects the library, the playground, the post office, School Street, and Main Street. It provides support for local events, including the Artisan Fair, Village Day, craft festivals, and nonprofit funded fundraising activities. The Cotuit Civic Association requested the rejuvenation of this project. This request came from them. This has been the #1 project on the Cotuit annual meeting for the Civic Association every single year. And so as part of that, it got a good grade during the process, and we're bringing it forward. Currently, the plan is to improve the pedestrian access by bringing the non-conforming walks into compliance with ADA, as well as replacing park benches, deteriorated flagpoles. The trees are all diseased. We've had the tree warden come down and look at them, and he says they told us that they need to be replaced. We would like to relocate the memorials. We feel that they're not appropriately positioned at this point in time because of some of the changes that's happened on the site. But again, there will be a process of community meetings and reaching out with the community to finalize this design. We've worked with the Civic Association to develop it to this point. I have a landscape architect on staff now that graduated with a master's degree from Harvard. So a lot of these designs she generated. We sorted through them, and we have a plan that we think is applicable. That's what I've based all my square footages off and my estimate at this point, but things can change and walkways can shift. But these are basically the goals that we're trying to meet with this site. Next slide, Sarah. So this is the existing site. We had it surveyed. That diagonal property line at the top of the page, you see, runs through the library parking lot. So at some point in time, that's the property line. At some point in time, there was a verbal agreement made for the library to expand this parking lot and driveway onto the park property. If you look at the circle and the walkway that heads north, that is a memorial that has been encroached upon by the slope and by the plantings there. That was not originally that way. You can see there's other constraints on the site. There's a playground that's privately managed that's on the park property. David Anthony is dealing with that with the church or the daycare next door. But for most part, none of those things really affect what we want to do with the park. The walkway is accessible from Main Street. However, when you get towards the church, it goes up that slope, and that slope is not accessible. And so we're recommending to reroute that to make it accessible. Next slide, please. So there you can see the memorial on the left and how that slope has infringed on that memorial kind of being an independent standing memorial. And then on the right, that's the slope that goes up the hill towards the church, and that's not accessible at all because of the slope. The middle graphic there shows the walkway is not accessible. That dashed rectangle is what you need for handicapped access for a wheelchair, and the 5-foot diameter turning radius. So nothing about that walkway meets code. Next slide. And there's a memorial. You can see that it's been encroached upon by, you can't really tell it's been encroached by the slope, just the planting. And yes, the planting can get cut back, but the slope still is sloping up against it. And there's the main walkway through in the center through the park, and it's asphalt. It's got roots underneath it, and everything else needs to be replaced. And the flagpole's beginning to rot, so that would also be included for replacement. Next slide. Just more walkways. They don't comply. Next graphic. So we looked at parks, and we had a bunch of wild ideas on things that we liked, but whether they're appropriate for this spot or not. Some of these weren't. Some of these ideas could be incorporated. Next slide. So we generated a bunch of ideas. These next three were just a bunch of ideas that were generated. We thought, we looked at this, and one thing that's important is that, this is a park that's in the center of Katuitt. It defines Katuitt. It's been traditionally a certain way. And so we don't want to impact it and totally change it. We'd like to have some consistency with historically how it's been. So this is obviously a big intrusion. What's the most important thing is the circle there in the park. Now the park's used for other things, so we rejected this. Next slide. This kind of brought things more on axis, and we had some ideas there, but how many circles do you need to create? You're now chewing up the park with all of these different sitting areas, which are nice, but it didn't necessarily meet what we wanted to do there. Next slide. Again, more things on axis. Next slide. And we did some renderings to see what it would look like. One of the big things is the stair from the library that was installed goes to nowhere. And so we thought a connection there of some type would be important. We're planning to do these walks in brick or brick pavers as much as possible. Next slide. And this is kind of the scheme that discussions with the Civic Association has brought us to, where we're talking about relocating, the chance of relocating the monuments so that they would be more visible, being on access to the library, having a walkway that connects down to School Street, which doesn't exist right now, and then rerouting that western walkway so that it comes out to School Street, but that's an accessible slope. Next slide. And so we went through all the criteria for this project. This project meets the criteria and helps preserve Barnstable's character. How does the project meet general criteria and category for CPC projects? It's consistent with the local comprehensive plan and other planning documents that are in place. And the Barnstable Comprehensive Plan of 2005 states the library and the Memorial Park are central to the village. So we're trying to upgrade this village, but still upgrade the park, but still keep it similar and feel to what was there already. Next slide. And this is our schedule. This has been updated every time we slide a little bit. It moves right. So the red line is today. So we're looking for CPC funding to move, and it was moved to this meeting. Then after that, there's 90 days, probably takes about 90 days at best to get to town council for approval of those funds. Then we would go through a designer selection process. And while that was going on, we would have community outreach meetings with the community, the first one, other than the Civic Association, get some feedback in these designs so they, could possibly change a little bit. We go through a schematic design process to, solidify the design. Then we have another community outreach meeting to, show the improvements to it. And then we would, based on that approval, we would go with construction documents, go through a bidding process, which takes 45 to 48 days, and then start construction. So currently we're looking at the fall of 2026, completed in the spring of 2027 for the project. If any of those things move or get delayed, and pushes the project out, we wouldn't be doing construction during the summer. We get pushed out to the following fall. Next slide. And here's the budget broken out by items that can be eligible for funding through CPC and funds that are through other means, whether it's general fund. I know the Civic Association said that they were going to provide some funding for the project. I think that's all I have right now. If there's any questions.
All right, thank you very much, Mark. Any questions for Mark from the members?
Yes, I do.
Go ahead.
Hey, Mark, thank you for the presentations. As you're mentioning that after we approve this project, or the town council approves this project, you're going through at least a couple of outreach meetings with the communities. What happened if they change a certain design? Would that change your budget as well?
Well, my budget's based off a square footage of that plan that the Civic Association likes. I don't think we would fall outside of that. I think any changes might be deletion of the walkway that heads south, which would be a shame, but that could happen. And then if there was a desire to keep the monuments where they were, we would basically take the funding for that walkway and improve the other walkways to those monuments. And then instead of moving the circle, we could possibly keep the circle where it is and just create a meandering path from the library walkway as well. So it all depends how it comes out in the end. But, I think the numbers I have are pretty good for whatever happens there.
Okay. So basically you're only expecting maybe some minor tweak in terms of the layout. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
All right. Did I see another hand there? Terry, did you have your hand up? Is anyone inclined to want to do a site visit over here? Is everyone comfortable with the presentation as it stands? Sufficient? Go ahead, Catherine.
So I recently went over there and walked around, and I'm glad to see that the pathways will be improved to be ADA compliant, because there was a woman there with some children at the playground, and she had one of those carts that she can rest and sit on and then help her move around. And she was really struggling getting around that park while she was trying to manage some kids. So I think that this is a worthwhile project. I'm sad about the trees, but I think that it is a beautiful spot in the middle of Katuitt, and it's a great community center.
Thank you for that. Any other questions or thoughts from members? Seeing none, is there anyone here from the public Terry, you raising your hand?
I am. I just do have a comment, because I too went over there and checked out the park, and the designs are great and everything looks good, but it's so small, and I'm thinking this is a huge expenditure on such a small parcel and such a small little park. That's the only thing that I am reluctant about. And, I'm willing to fund everything, so.
Yeah, I know the perception of the costs, we have a very good record of being on target with our estimating at this point. I remember when I first came to Cape Cod 40-something years ago, we were telling people construction of a home was $50 a square foot, and we thought that was a lot. Now it's what, $700 a square foot? So the costs have gone up to do, pavers and all that. But we'll be looking at options for, I mean, this is what we think is appropriate for the site. This is the cost, but during the design process, we always look at, other options to save some money.
Thank you for that, Mark. Any members of the public or anyone that wants to speak to this? Sarah, anybody out there?
Excuse me, I'm trying to find my hand button and I can't find it. May I speak? I'm Chris Rebello.
Sure.
Thank you very much for the presentation being repeated, because this gave me a lot of answers to concerns I had. I want to be sure that my letter was received by the committee. And I'm sorry, I'm using your first name, Mark, because I don't have your name in front of me, and I'll crucify the pronunciation if I try to do it from memory. I want to know that you saw the letter also, because there are several things that I really support, and the idea of making that an accessible pathway to School Street is awesome. I mean, it's currently kind of treacherous for people. I know I'm not walking through there right now for my own safety, but I had issues with the design, and I am happy to hear that it is not a finalized design and that it is going to come forward to the public to have input, because we were told that by the Civic Association when there was a Prudential Committee meeting, and that didn't happen, and now it's before you, and I'm like, wait a minute, what is happening? So I do support what you're saying if this is not a finalized design, and there's still opportunity for input. And thanks.
I've had two citizens that had concerns about the relocation of the memorials. So as part of the process, we'll be having discussions on really what's more appropriate to leave them there kind of off to the side, or to put them in a more prominent location. I really don't have a dog in the fight. This isn't my backyard, and this isn't my design. We want it to be nice. We want it to be done right. But, it's the community's space, and it should really meet the requirements of them.
I'm glad to hear that. And one of my thoughts was that costs extra money to move those monuments, and turning them away from Main Street is really an issue. So thank you. And I do think it's worthy of support, because the park is well used, and even those stairs that go to nowhere get used, but a path to it would be great.
And the other reason for connecting to that is to think about liability for the town. I mean, we have a library that's built, a set of stairs that comes off onto the town's property. But if there's ruts there and there's grass and there's a tripping hazard, that's a problem. So it really needs to be some connection to that point.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else out there wish to speak to this matter regarding the Katuitt Memorial Park? All right, seeing none. Anyone have a motion they would like to consider? Anyone still like to take a site visit? Do they need to see this before we move it on?
Lindsay, I move that we approve this application to renovate the Katuitt Memorial Park based on a final approved plan for the construction project.
And the amount would be $406,282?
And the amount would be $406,182.
$282?
$282. Yes.
All right. Moved, and is there a second?
I'll second. Steve Robichaud.
Steve Robichaud seconds. Is everyone clear on the motion? Terry, are you waving your hand or holding your camera?
Yeah.
No, I'm on my phone, so it makes it hard. I'm kind of holding it.
You're moving. Yeah, I could see that.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
All
And
right.
the funding will be from the open space and recreational
Yes.
portions.
First, and then the undesignated second.
Right.
Again, depending on when this project comes up, that will give the finance department the flexibility they need. Any other discussion on the motion? Seeing none, Ellen, will you call the roll?
Tom Lee,
Yes.
Deb Converse,
Yes, and my compliments to Mark too for the presentation, and the man that talked last time was very entertaining and thorough. So yes.
Terry Duenas,
Yes.
Catherine Garofoli,
Yes.
Farley Lewis,
Yes.
Steve Robichaud,
Yes.
Lindsay Council.
Yes. That's unanimous. Very good, Mark.
Thank you very much.
We'll
Thank you,
talk
Mark.
soon about those financial reports and how we can get coordinated on those.
Yeah, it'd be great. Thank
All
you
right.
very much.
Mark, can you send us a copy of your slide presentation?
Yep, Sarah actually has a copy. It's on the T drive. So yeah, I will make sure that you get a copy.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night. Our next is an application from the Barnstable Land Trust requesting $307,500 in community preservation open space funds to preserve an ecologically important retired cranberry bog property consisting of 25.74 acres within the Great Marsh and Barnstable Harbor watershed, addressed 301 Parker Road, West Barnstable, map 176, parcel 019. The total purchase price is $615,000, and BLT will apply for a Mass Conservation Partnership grant in June 2025 to help for fund the acquisition. BLT will grant a conservation restriction to the town of Barnstable to ensure that the land is preserved in perpetuity. Janet Milkman, I believe, is here to speak to this. We did get a copy of the draft conservation restriction for members to look at today, so we have homework. Go ahead, Janet.
Thank you. Thank you, Lindsay. Sarah, do you mind pulling up the maps here? I thought this was the best way to share the conservation values for this property. We did talk about it a little bit last time about the trails, the parking, the ecological value, but I think I'll go through that in a little bit through these maps. So this is the locus. If you go to the next slide, this is in West Barnstable. You saw this in the previous application, but the connection between the Spruce Pond, Sandhill Pond Conservation Area, which is much of it is town-owned, partially BLT-owned, and the Bridge Creek area is very visible in this map and shows how important this connecting parcel is. If you go to the next slide, you'll see that we've mapped some of the state conservation values. This is called wetland core habitat and buffer, and that describes an area that provides essential habitat for plant and animal species and also the ability to capture heavy rains and prevent flooding. So a significant chunk of the parcel falls into that category. If we go to the next slide, you'll see there's a vernal pool on the site and a couple more potential vernal pools nearby. And these are seasonal wetlands that typically fill in with water and allow specific rare species to survive and thrive. If we go to the next slide, This is a new layer that the state has put on called local landscapes and really describes the connectivity, the value of connectivity between large areas of intact, unfragmented lands and waters that provide habitat for a wide range of species and support dynamic natural processes and resilient ecosystems. So this is a chunk of the property. Again, the same area falls into the important local landscape layer. And if we go on to the next slide, you can see the area of critical environmental concern, the Sandy Neck Barrier Beach system, which this parcel is hydrologically connected to and flows right into the water. Obviously flows north here on this side of the moraine. So improving, restoring this parcel will be helpful to this massively important ecosystem right to the north. And if you go to the next slide, this is showing wetlands. And the next slide, just an aerial view of the property. And I think I have one more, Sarah, I don't know if the photo came through. Oh, this one too. Yeah, this is important. So this is a map of the Cape Cod Pathways Trail. And there is an opportunity to connect this bog and the trails around these bogs to this wonderful trail that goes all the way from Sandwich to Yarmouth. And if we go to the next slide.
That's the last one I have.
Okay, you don't have the photo I shared.
Let me check my email real quick.
Okay, it's just a really lovely aerial drone shot that I thought it would be nice for everyone to see. But you've seen all of the ecological value, I think, really clearly in those slides, and that was also in the application. So if you had a chance to look at them in detail, that's all laid out pretty clearly. And let's see if we can get the picture. Oh yeah, okay. So this is just a nice slide and gives you a really good sense of the Sandy Neck ecosystem, which is on the upper left-hand corner of the photo. So thank you, Sarah. We can go back to people view. That's really all I wanted to say, except to respond to one of Lindsay's concerns from the last meeting, which was that we did talk with the assistant town manager and he got folks from DEP and property management and the attorney's office together, and they all expressed no concerns with this project and with town holding the CR on it. So that is resolved.
Thanks for taking care of that. Much appreciated.
Yeah.
Any other comments, Janet, or do you want me to open it up to the members?
Sure.
Deb, we see you waving your hand.
Yeah, I was just wondering, what does restoration mean?
It can mean a lot of things. It's a good question. We talked about it a little bit at the last meeting. Kelly Grant described the process, but what it has meant to other cranberry bog projects on Cape and some off Cape as well has been returning it to wetlands, which is really helpful for water quality. So much so that the Harwich Conservation Trust just got a big grant from the town for its Cold Brook restoration project because it was helping avoid a sewering cost for that town.
Wow.
I'm not suggesting that would happen here, but that is one kind of really serious level restoration that you might do on a bog like this. We would definitely consider a lot of different levels of restoration before going forward. doing a feasibility study, looking at the hydrology. And so what the restoration for this site would be is not determined yet.
Okay. You wouldn't be
Bobby?
having cranberry bog.
I would say I am very taken with the idea of it enhancing the pathways. And it would definitely would be able to reroute the existing red line that goes right next to Route 6. We could go, you know, much further inward, and it would make a much nicer walking, hiking experience. So I think this would be a wonderful acquisition.
Thank you. Any other, Kat?
Janet, thanks for the presentation. Are there any structures on this property? I know that in the conservation restriction, it talks about maintaining the right to construct, use, repair temporary structures. Is there anything existing?
There is not. There are the usual hydrological structures in the ground, but there are no buildings. The buildings are on the other bogs owned by Jenkins, so there's nothing on this.
Okay. Great, thank you.
Anyone else with questions? I would actually like to, again, on this one as well, offer the chance for folks to go see it. I have not walked the entire property, only an edge of it. Is there any interest in members to go see this property?
Yeah, I would like to.
Yeah.
I would definitely like to.
Yes.
All right, would that be something we could coordinate through you, Janet?
Absolutely.
If enough members came, we'd have to do 2 sessions, if that's okay with you, Janet. We wouldn't want to have to post a meeting and go through all of that. But we could certainly.
I see. Yeah, absolutely. It's 2 minutes from our office and very easy to arrange. If folks give us some sense of time of day or day of the week, we'd be happy to do that.
Okay.
The other thing we haven't done, members, we have no appraisal of our own on this, so I'd like to get your permission to do one. I'm not familiar with bog property value whatsoever. I did a little bit of work, but have not done any in that regard. So I have no idea if this is a great price or what. What are your thoughts on that before we move forward?
Janet, did BLT get an appraisal on this property?
We did, and I think it was just around 600,000. And it really was, you know, based on highest and best use, which is the development of a housing lot.
So one single housing lot?
Yeah.
Not highest and best.
Steve, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with you, Lindsay, that it might be worth the due diligence to get another appraisal.
I think so. Any other questions from members? Seeing none, is there anyone from the public that wanted to speak here, Sarah?
There's no public on this item. Thank you.
No public on the site. All right, well, we're back together in a month. Why don't we plan to have our site visit done by then and get an appraisal?
So
I would need an approval by the committee to seek an appraisal, contingent that it's under, I think, $5,000. That seems to be able to require an appraisal now. So if people are in favor of that, we could move that. I would make a motion that we hire an appraiser to assess this property.
Yeah.
Is there a second?
I'd second that.
I'm second. Yeah.
Any further discussion between the members?
I really don't know why we'd need one. I mean, we have DLTs, and that's not going to steer us wrong, I don't think. But then,
I haven't. I know so little about cranberry bogs. I have no idea what it's worth. It's being, the asking price is twice what the town's assessment is.
yeah,
The town's assessment
well, if Hyacinth,
is 300 and something. 327,800. So it's twice what the town thinks it's worth. Those are the two numbers we have. If we have a third one, maybe we. Go ahead, Janet.
Yeah, I'd be happy to share our appraisal with the committee if you're interested. My only concern is that appraisers are taking 2 to 3 months now to return an appraisal. So if it sounds like you're not planning to vote on it until you get an appraisal back.
I'd like to know really what the value is. I mean, we've thrown around numbers here, but with one buildable lot, it seems the price is quite high based on the assessed value. So
it's
kind
not
of in a
buildable.
conundrum. Best way to solve that is get another opinion.
Fine.
And we're bound to get appraisals. We are obligated to prove the value. Otherwise, we have to use the state formula for assessing a property, which takes the value of the property based on what was assessed for 3 years, average that out, and the acquisition price can't exceed an additional 25% of that. So that's the only other criteria we can weigh it against. So I think having another appraisal would answer these questions.
The only question I have about the appraisal is highest and best use is supposedly development. And I don't necessarily agree with that because I don't think anybody could build on this property because it's a wetland. So that's the only, question I would have about
There is a section of upland that's big enough for a house lot.
So there you have it. We'd have to make sure whoever we select wouldn't understand that. We can show them the area and say, this is our assumption. And that way we can get a comparative value.
Is there any rush on this, Janet?
I'm sorry?
Any rush?
Yes, because we have to, it always takes us a while to get on the town council agenda and get the CR
next year
approved, and we're meant to close on it early next year. So, I mean, the sooner the better, I would just say. I understand your need to do due diligence.
All right. Any other questions? All right, regarding an appraisal not to exceed $5,000, no other discussion on that? All right, Ellen, would you call the roll on the motion to fund an appraisal?
Ron Lee,
Yes.
Deb Converse,
abstain, really. I don't care.
Terry Duenas,
Yes.
Catherine Garofoli,
I would abstain too. I think that with BLT's appraisal, we should trust that.
Yeah.
Farley Lewis,
Same.
Steve Robichaud,
I think you should just vote no if that's your opinion, but I'm a yes on it.
Lindsay Council.
Yes.
Hmm.
So what do you have?
I have one.
You got 4.
I have 3 abstentions out of. I have 4 yeses and 3 abstained.
So that means the motion passes.
Yeah, it carries.
Yeah.
All right, very good. Janet, we'll get on that, and we'll probably should get a copy of your appraisal so we've got them making sure they're addressing the same areas.
Can do. How do you want to go about finding a time for a tour?
What works better for you? Would you like us to coordinate it through Ellen, or do you want people to contact you directly? What works best for you?
If Ellen can coordinate it and give us a few dates, that would be great.
Yeah.
All right,
Be super.
let's call into Ellen and get the dates of that, and we can do that in the interim here. Keep this moving.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Janet.
Everything, any other questions for Janet before she begs off? No?
No.
Thank you very much, Janet.
Thank you.
Okay, now we move to correspondence. We received the building assessment report for the Oddfellows Lodge building and forwarded to the members. Interesting report there. And I think that is a good report from that group that really describes pretty well the outside of that building. I think a lot of their due diligence using binoculars to look at the brickwork and things was very clever. So Ellen, where were we at with the Oddfellows on that? They going to submit a letter of intent based on the...
So they did submit a letter of intent. Probably it probably needs to be updated based on the report.
Yes.
Because of this prioritization that happened in that report, that they're going to need to update their letter of intent. The preservation restriction is being worked on by Barbara,
Right.
the consultant, and that's where we're at.
And you've been working on finalizing the nonprofit status for this group. The Oddfellows seems they have one report they need to file to be
We
current.
did request, yep.
Okay. Anyone else to speak to this Oddfellows matter?
I'm here representing the Oddfellows, and
okay, great.
Thank you for your consideration. And it was certainly an in-depth assessment of the building, and as you know, it's already registered with the Massachusetts Registry of Historic Places. We have a Form B, so it's Oddfellows owns the building, and so Oddfellows is a 501c8, and I know that that those are, routinely funded through community preservation. So we're happy to have the opportunity to do this. It's been I had mentioned to Ellen that financially we have had trouble with tenants, the businesses in front, and we've got that squared away. So we're really putting things back together. So if we could get some money to preserve the building. Fortunately, there is no water coming in yet. The roof is got some serious problems, but we're really catching it in time. So and the brickwork, I know that that's got to be done. Perhaps period specific mortar. We're not sure about that, but we've contacted Minette Masonry in West Barnstable, and they've worked on historic brick buildings before, so they come highly recommended, and we're excited to see what their estimate is. So we don't have that in hand yet, but we will in the next week or so.
Very great. We'll put all those bids together, and we'll look forward to seeing you come forward with your letter of intent.
All right. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Paul.
All right.
Any other questions for Paul while we have him? No? Well, thank you very much. We'll look forward to seeing you very soon.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
We received a property management notice from the Housing Assistance Corporation. I think they changed managers or something out there for the homes at the Rock, I think, or something. I've forgotten this one, Alan.
I think it might be the YMCA property out that
Was
way.
it the YMCA property?
West Barnstable, yeah.
All right, thank you. We did receive the invoice for our Community Preservation Coalition annual dues, which were, I believe, $7,900.
Yeah.
Which we would need a motion to approve the payment of our annual dues to them.
Yeah, I'll make that motion. I move to approve the invoice submitted for our annual dues.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded to approve the annual dues for the Community Preservation Coalition, $7,900. Ellen, will you call the roll?
Conley,
Yes.
Deb Converse,
Yes.
Terry Duenas,
Yes.
Catherine Garofoli,
Yes.
Farley Lewis,
Yes.
Steve Robichaud,
Yes.
Lindsay Council.
Yes.
Unanimous.
All right, we're looking for an updated, we have an updated letter of intent for the South Congregational Church. Are they ready to submit the full letter of intent, Ellen, or where are they? What's their status?
So the Form E, from what I understand, it's in the very final stages. They haven't
Okay.
turned it over yet. That Form E needs to be used by the preservation restriction consultant to fill in information from that, and then they will submit it to Mass Historic. Mass Historic in the past did say that they would qualify, but for a restriction, but that's where we're not that far in the process yet.
Okay.
I think they did submit a bid. I mean, I'm sorry, a new letter of intent that's based on bids that they have received. And I think somebody might be here from there too.
Tim, are you here for the South Congregational Church?
Jean is here for it as well.
I'm also
He's
here.
here, okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions?
I think we're all set. We just need that Form B so we can get a confirmation from the Mass Historical Society that you're eligible
Okay.
for historic restriction.
What took us some time was getting bids for the fence.
Okay.
But
Right.
we finally settled that, and that's all done. So that was holding us up. But we have Paramount Landscaping is going to do that part of the project.
Okay. Well, let's see if we can't get that Form B done and get you back here in August to submit your letter of intent. Will that work for you?
Yes.
All right, very good. And the last item under correspondence, we got a letter from Jennifer Ratliff from Hyannis, who was looking to preserve the Eugenia Forts House. And I referred her on to the Hyannis Historic Society. But we will see if anything comes of that. Project updates.
Yes. Hello.
Yes. Someone speaking? Someone?
No, you're all set, Lindsay. Keep going.
Okay. I guess we have not received the some documents needed from the land court for the Smiths Creek conservation restriction. I'm sure that will happen as soon as those documents are in. The West Barnstable Railroad Station was approved by the council on the June 5th meeting. And also the Cotuit High Ground was appropriated at the same meeting. The town council has continued the armory until their September 4th meeting. They don't have a real plan for that, and they wanted to hold that funding until they've had a chance to do some due diligence. So we'll be back there on the 4th. And we have the conservation restrictions for Harju and Prince Ave waiting to get on a council list. Waiting and waiting, but they're all done. They're all approved by the state. So once we get on the council agenda, we'll have them. The Form E for the for the South Congregational we just talked about. And the Oddfellows Lodge was completed, the conditions reports. We are anticipating a letter of intent for trail signage. This is the project taken on by Property Management and the Open Space Committee. I took a few minutes to attend the meeting, and they're looking to use AmeriCorps to improve the signage out there, and it's been a number of years since that's been worked on. Did you want to add anything to that, Farley, regarding the signage project? You're still muted.
No, I don't have anything further to add to that. Thank you, though.
Yep. Well, it may change a little bit too. We'll have to keep an eye on things if something happens with the Woodland Bog project. That would be an interesting link there to see if we can't make that connection.
Definitely. Yep. Yep.
We voted on the dues. Barnstable Land Trust is submitting their project for Montero later. There was an issue over town funding for that that Janet's working out with the legal department. So Montero is due in the fall. Under member discussion, we already voted on the dues. That's great. And then I had some suggestions for the annual meeting. Mark Milne can't be with us until probably the earliest is going to be September. So I thought we could shoot for an annual meeting then or thereabouts. But then I wanted to throw some other things out there. That would be a good time for him to give us a financial update because the state match will be in by then.
Yeah.
And I would like to also take the time in between now and then to coordinate these DPW projects. That slide that he showed had so many different names of projects on there. It's very hard to track.
Yeah.
So Alan, when we talk to Mark, we need to, there's so many Centerville recreation, this, that projects. It's very hard to follow them.
And was there something for Osterville, like outhouse, or what was it?
Yeah, that's the funding for the, I believe it's a basketball court and the outhouse out there. And if that's going to be his total CIP package, I'd like to see that, so that, as Steve has suggested a number of times, we can look at them in total and try to track them. We're also due for an election of officers. We could do that. We did not make it to the items at the end of the agenda on the last meeting last Thursday. So the request by the Affordable Housing Trust did not get heard. And the members, the new member from the Historic Committee didn't get approved. So we'll be looking to go back to the late August meeting to do that. And then would be appropriate. We'd only be down 2 members. We still don't have a representative from Recreation, nor do we have a member. No, we'd be down 1 member, the Recreation member. So it would be appropriate to have an election officers then. We also need to update our community preservation plan. So if you could pull that out off the website and start taking a look at what you don't like there. Ellen's clearing the way through IT to get some changes on the website, get a list of current members. So that's sort of the second thing, those plan update and the website improvements. And that won't be completed by September, obviously, but I'd like to get you all input, take a fresh look at that, see if some things in there could be updated, make things run a little more smoothly. And that will take several months. But I think it's all good. Any questions on the annual meeting? how you all like to do that. If you have any suggestions for speakers, in the meantime, we could definitely entertain that. If there's a topic in there you think we ought to know more about, give us a heads up, and we'll see if we can't get someone. I know, Steve, you'd mentioned maybe we can get somebody from the state to speak about the overall Cape Cod Pathways program, for example. How's Phase 4 doing? We can get an update from DPW on Phase 4, but there's still links in Sandwich.
Yeah, that
and
the
things
big
like that.
picture on
Yeah,
that
they
road trip.
could get the big picture.
Yeah.
And things like that. Anything else for the annual meeting?
Lindsay, the only thing, I'll be on vacation on September the 15th.
Well, we can't have that.
No.
Well, we could certainly change the date. The other thing on datings and meetings, that's the calendar is another thing we need to get squared away. And I was going to throw out that if we wanted to maybe look at changing our schedule to going once every 2 months. That would beef up our agendas a little bit, but we could pick nights when Steve was totally free from planning board and other conflicts. And we could, you know, reduce the number of commitments, because you folks that are on 2 committees, some 3, sometimes more than 3, it might give you guys a little bit of a break. So think about that. We doesn't necessarily have to be on a regular 3rd Monday kind of thing. We run into trouble with 3rd Monday anyway. We miss 3 or 4 dates throughout the year, and we have to switch and look at Steve's schedule and everybody else, Tom. And so that's something I told Ellen we just bring up for now, and we can coordinate that later if we want to do that. I've also thought, for some reason, right as I was falling to sleep the other night, I said, well, why not 4 meetings a year? So anyway, there are possibilities out there. I know projects come in and they want to be decided right away, but we always seem to need to do due diligence anyway. So anything else on that? Deb?
Yeah, the only thing about meeting every other month is that it takes so long to get to the town council to get on their agenda and get approved. It just everything is delayed in bureaucracy, and I hate to be one of those bureaucratic hang-up things. So I'd rather have a shorter agenda every other month than delay more. And the other thing is about the annual meeting. I would love a financial update and a projected future for CPC, because you know, I just get concerned about we're spending a lot of historic money and or spending a lot of, well, I like land preservation, but you know, we may be spent out, and do we care? I mean, do we care?
Well,
I agree.
That's another point. And we've talked about it before. There doesn't seem to be a lot of interest on bonding for some of these recreation projects. I've floated that again in my conversations recently, but perhaps Mark Marinaccio would be interested in taking some of these recreation projects aside. I saw that Hathaway's Pond was still on the list, and there was a number of those. And I did speak very briefly to Mark Milne about that, and he said, and what I asked him to do was to come in for when we have him for the annual meeting and describe what a bond is and how that works. And can we save funding, or can we dedicate funding to projects through that? And he'll give us a complete outline on that, as well as a status update on all our projects. Steve?
Yeah, we should. Yeah.
Yeah, just to piggyback on that, I mean, I agree with Deb 100%, and I agree with you 100%. And I think if we get a presentation on bonding and every member of this committee supports that, maybe there's a way for us to make a motion and put our weight behind it and then say, okay, what's the next step? You know, because there are a lot of projects that were not on that presentation that Mark gave us. I think about Anthony's Comaquid Inn, that could be, geez, $3, $4, $5, $6 million at the end of the day. And I think of all the general public that might bring us projects, and we don't want to overextend ourselves and not be able to, we could get things that are very exciting to us that we haven't seen in a while that we want to throw our support behind. But if we're kind of in a tough spot because we've supported so much DPW, I think the bond, especially because we're in such a healthy financial state because of smart decisions we've made. We've been very conservative. So I think, this committee should push for that if we think it's the right thing to do and throw our weight around.
Very good suggestion. Perhaps we could, do that through a melding of the process of looking at our vision going forward and working with Mark Marinaccio and that group. So let's see if we can't do that this fall and come into next year with a plan going forward. That could be our CPC plan.
Yeah.
It does say to identify specific projects. If we want to, identify certain projects we know are coming, Marston's Mills Playground, for example, Hathaway's Pond Playground, these things, we could say that's what we're interested in, and move that forward as our plan. So we can do it.
Well, Marston's Mills may not just be a playground, so.
We would simply ask them for the space for the playground, and the housing can have their piece across the way.
We need funding for housing. Yeah, be a three-way thing.
Possibly do that too. All right. Any other questions on the annual meeting?
Nope.
Just if you have any thoughts at all, an idea that runs through your head, write it down, get it to us, and we will start keeping a compendium, so that we can do the research between meetings. Next item is the meeting format for August 18th. I think we should stay remote. It's worked for us.
Fine with me.
Yep.
Any other? Ellen, has there been any requirements? Are we required to come in and have one in-person meeting a year? Have you heard anything about that, or?
No.
No.
Nothing?
Nope.
Okay, let's keep it remote if everyone's so inclined.
Yeah, it's good for remote.
Yep.
All right. And we did talk about the 2026 meeting schedule. Anything else, members? Anything we've forgotten? Ellen?
Lindsay, am I meeting for as an annual meeting is out. We're going to go to October. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah, Tom can't be here.
Yeah.
Like to get as many members as possible.
Yeah.
I just need to know because I have to post it. Thank you. In the newspaper.
I also cannot make the 15th of September.
All right, then the 15th's out.
Oh my God.
October it'll be. Let's nail down a look. Is that going to be with the annual meeting? That would be, we'd probably be in person for that. So
yeah, I would think.
See what you can get for a room and get it out to us, Ellen, so people can get it on their calendar.
It's already reserved.
You've already got a room.
The hearing
The 20th?
On the 20th, it's already reserved. Yeah.
Okay.
All of our meeting dates are reserved in the hearing room until we make them remote meetings. So we always have a room.
Oh, good.
How nice. Very good.
Good.
All right. Anything else?
No.
Being motion to adjourn, anyone?
So move.
Second?
Second.
Did you poll the members, Ellen?
Tom Lee,
Yes.
Deb Converse,
Yes.
Terry Duenas,
Yes.
Catherine Garofoli,
Yes.
Farley Lewis,
Yes.
Steve Robichaud,
Yes.
and Lindsay Council.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, everyone. Thank you very much.